The Galactic Council hall floated above the silver clouds of Arvin Prime, shining like a monument of power. Thousands of alien delegates filled the chamber, their voices echoing through the dome. Today was a historic day, they said. Today they would vote to make the human ban official. Bright banners of different worlds hung from the curved walls, glowing under white-blue light. At the center, the Grand Speaker, a tall creature with glassy skin and eyes like liquid silver, raised his hand. The chamber fell silent. "Let it be recorded," he announced, his tone filled with pride, "that from this day onward, humans are forbidden to step inside any world of the Galactic Alliance." The crowd erupted into cheers. Some delegates clapped their claws, others stomped their tails, a few even laughed openly. A ripple of satisfaction moved through the hall like a wave. "They brought war wherever they went," shouted one voice. "Unstable, violent, emotional," said another. "They never belonged among civilized races." Their laughter echoed, cruel and self-assured. From the back row, Kale, a young officer of the Varn Dominion, stood quietly among his people. His eyes moved across the glowing screens showing old human war footage, explosions, fire, soldiers shouting, planets burning. Every image had one message: humans are dangerous. The Grand Speaker pointed at the screens and said, "There is your proof. Every act of chaos has their name on it. They were a threat not only to others but to themselves, and now they are no more." More laughter followed. The chamber looked more like a festival than a council. Kale did not join in. He watched the footage carefully. Something bothered him. The recordings looked edited, cut in strange ways. On one screen, a human soldier was seen firing a weapon, then suddenly the feed stopped. But just before it froze, Kale noticed something. A flash of movement behind the soldier. It looked like he was shielding an alien child, not attacking. Kyle blinked. The feed ended and the next clip began. More fire, more destruction. He frowned. Something about it felt wrong. When the session ended, the delegates left, still laughing and congratulating each other. The hall slowly emptied until only the soft hum of machines remained. Kale stood still, staring at the fading holographic screens. He whispered, "Why did they stop the video there?" Behind him, a voice spoke softly. "Because the rest of it was not meant to be seen." Kale turned sharply. It was Tessa, an old historian from the Archive Guild. Her wrinkled skin shimmered like thin metal, and her deep violet eyes seemed to carry secrets. She looked around, making sure no one else was there. She stepped closer. "You saw it too, didn't you?" she asked. Kale nodded slowly. "That footage was cut. It looked like the human was saving someone." Tessa sighed. "Yes, many of the videos they use are not complete. I was part of the team that stored the original human archives before the ban." Her voice dropped lower. "But they locked them away. The council ordered every true record of human actions to be sealed." Kale's heart beat faster. "Why, what are they hiding?" Tessa looked at him with a sad smile. "You are young, Kale. You still believe the council serves truth. But truth is dangerous, especially when it embarrasses those in power." She handed him a small metallic data chip. "If you want answers, go to the Central Archives after dark. Slot this into the access port. You will see what they never want anyone to see." Before Kale could speak, Tessa was gone, her footsteps fading down the hall. That night, Arvin Prime's twin moons cast pale light through the crystal windows of the archive tower. The corridors were empty except for the hum of energy conduits and the soft vibration of security drones hovering above. Kyle walked fast, his heart heavy with questions. He reached a locked door marked Restricted Human Encounters. He inserted the chip Tessa gave him. The panel glowed blue. The door slid open with a hiss. Rows of glowing data capsules filled the dark room like frozen stars. Kale stepped between them, brushing dust from their smooth surfaces. Each capsule contained fragments of recorded history: wars, treaties, discoveries. He found the section labeled Human Records. Most capsules were blacked out, but a few still flickered faintly. He touched one and a hologram flickered to life. The image showed a barren world, broken cities, smoke rising into the sky. A squad of humans moved through the ruins. They looked tired, wounded, yet determined. Then Kale saw it. A group of alien civilians trapped under debris. The humans dropped their weapons, rushing to lift the stones, pulling the injured to safety. One human soldier carried a small alien child on his back, shielding her from falling rubble. The look in his eyes was not rage, it was compassion. Kale's throat tightened. He watched more clips. Humans fighting not for conquest but for others, protecting colonies, building shelters, even giving their lives for alien lives. The words of the council now rang in his ears like poison. They were violent, unstable, unfit to exist among us, but the truth before him told a different story. Kale's hands trembled. They lied to us, he whispered. All of it was a lie. Suddenly, the door behind him clicked. A shadow appeared at the entrance. Kale froze. An older figure stepped inside, draped in dark robes, with eyes that glowed like cold light. It was High Counselor Vareth, one of the leaders who had supported the ban. His voice was calm, almost cold. So, you have seen what should have stayed buried. Kyle turned slowly. You hid the truth. You erased an entire species for your pride. Vareth smiled faintly. No, officer. We erased them because they were a reminder of what we once feared to become. He leaned closer. Do you think the galaxy would have followed us if they had seen humans as heroes? Kale stepped back, disgusted. You banned them to protect your lies. Vareth's tone darkened. And now you understand why curiosity is dangerous. Leave this place. Forget what you saw. But Kale knew he could not forget, not now, not ever. He looked once more at the flickering hologram, the human soldier carrying the alien child through fire, and whispered to himself, they called them monsters. But they were more than any of us. As he left the chamber, the words of the council echoed in his mind. The laughter. The arrogance. He promised himself that one day everyone would see what he saw. Kale did not sleep that night. The images he saw kept playing in his mind. Humans saving alien lives, carrying wounded strangers through fire, giving food to children who were not their own. The council had painted them as monsters, yet the truth showed something else entirely. He sat near his window, watching the twin moons fade behind the rising glow of Arvin Prime's sun. The light touched the horizon like a promise. Kale made his decision. He would not stay silent. By morning, the Galactic Council's banners filled every screen again. They were celebrating the human ban with fireworks and parades. Across the city, people cheered, believing they had made the galaxy safer. But Kale's heart felt heavier with every sound of celebration. He moved through the streets wearing a dark hood. Drones hovered overhead, scanning faces. The council's reach was everywhere now. Kyle entered a quiet building with faded signs, Tessa's Archive Guild. Inside, the old historian waited for him beside shelves filled with old star maps and dusty data cores. You saw everything, she said softly, her tone calm but heavy. Kyle nodded. You were right. They lied about everything. Humans were not destroyers, they were saviors. Why hide that? Tessa sighed. Because truth is dangerous when it changes power. The Council used humans to fight their wars centuries ago. When humans won those wars, the Council feared them. They feared a species that could unite others through courage, not control. Kale frowned. So they erased them. Yes, they destroyed their records, burned their colonies, and told everyone humanity had fallen. They turned heroes into myths and myths into warnings. Kyle clenched his fists. I have to show the galaxy the truth. Tessa shook her head. It will not be easy. The Council controls every broadcast system. They can rewrite history with a single message, but she reached into her robes and pulled out another data chip. There is one place left they cannot control. An old human communication relay in the Elira belt. It was abandoned, but it still runs on its own network. If you upload the files there, every colony could see the truth before the Council blocks it. Kale took the chip. Then that is where I will go. She looked at him with sadness. They will call you a traitor. They will hunt you. Kale smiled faintly. Then let them. Humanity was hunted once too, and they still chose to protect others. I will do the same. That night, Kale packed his flight suit and slipped into the hangar where patrol ships rested like sleeping beasts. His fingers trembled as he keyed in his ship's activation code. The engines hummed to life, glowing faint orange. Unauthorized flight detected, a robotic voice called out. Alarms began to blare through the base. Red lights flashed. Kale gritted his teeth. Too late now. He pushed the throttle forward. The ship shot out of the hangar like a comet, leaving the city lights behind. Council drones chased him through the clouds, firing warning shots. Kale dodged between plasma beams, the ship's alarms screaming around him. The sky turned dark as he broke through the atmosphere into open space. Stars filled his vision, cold, silent witnesses to his rebellion. He switched on stealth mode, cutting his main engines and drifting near an asteroid field. The drones passed overhead, scanning. After a long moment, they disappeared. Kale exhaled shakily and checked the coordinates on his nav screen. Elira Belt, 23 jumps away. He leaned back, looking at the data chip glowing beside him. If humanity died for the truth, then the truth should live for them. Hours turned into days. Kale crossed empty systems and abandoned trade routes. In each forgotten world, he saw signs of what once had been. Ruins of human settlements, crumbling walls, broken machines covered in dust. Yet in every ruin he also saw signs of care. Carved names, children's drawings, words like hope, home, family. He realized then that humanity had left something stronger than metal or memory. They had left meaning. When he finally reached the Elira Belt, his scanners picked up the old communication relay. It was a massive ring-like structure orbiting a dying star. Solar flares burst around it, painting space in golden light. Kyle approached carefully. The relay looked damaged but alive, its core still glowing faint blue. He landed his ship on the docking ring, stepping out into the silence. Inside, dust floated like snow. Broken screens flickered weakly. On one of them, faded human letters still glowed faintly. Project Echo, speak the truth. Kyle smiled. Perfect. He inserted Tessa's data chip into the terminal. The system responded with a soft hum. Lights came alive across the console. A voice old and human spoke through the static. Identity unknown. Network integrity stable. Upload detected. Please confirm broadcast to all open frequencies. Kyle placed his hand on the control panel. Confirm. The screen displayed a loading bar, 1%, 2%, 3%. But before he could relax, his ship's sensors blared. Council patrol ships had arrived. They must have tracked his jump trail. Kale looked out through the cracked glass window. 3 large cruisers approached, weapons glowing red. A deep voice echoed through his comms. Kale of the Varn Dominion, you are under arrest for spreading restricted human data. Power down your systems or be destroyed. He ignored the warning. The upload had reached 27%. He whispered to himself, you cannot stop truth. Missiles launched from the cruisers, streaking toward the relay. Kale ran to his ship, jumped inside, and fired countermeasures. Explosions lit up the void. Inside the relay, the upload continued. 42%. 58%. 73%. Kale's ship was shaking. He fired at the incoming fighters, dodging plasma blasts. One hit struck his wing, tearing metal apart. Warning alarms screamed. He coughed, blood on his lips, and glanced at the monitor. 88%. 91%. 95%. He smiled weakly. Almost there. Then his comms crackled. Tessa's voice came through, faint and broken by interference. Kale, the signal. It's working. Every screen is turning on across the colonies. They are seeing it. He looked up at the burning sky and whispered, then it was worth it. Another explosion hit his ship, throwing him forward. The stars spun. The last thing he saw before losing consciousness was the upload bar reaching 100%, and the words flashing across the relay's screen. Transmission complete. Humanity's truth restored. Darkness drifted across space, but light was returning, pixel by pixel. The relay above the dying star glowed like an awakened heart, sending pulses through the void. Each signal leapt from one satellite to another, spreading faster than the Council could trace. In a matter of minutes, every major colony, from the frozen moons of Bryn to the glass towers of Thalar, received the same feed. Every screen, every broadcast, every public display flickered, then changed. The image was human. A soldier, dirt on his face, carrying a small alien child across a burning battlefield. Behind him, explosions painted the sky, but he kept walking. His voice, calm and low, echoed through every speaker. If we fall, make sure someone remembers why we stood. People stopped. Workers froze mid-step. Schoolrooms fell silent. Starship crew stared in confusion. What is this? One alien asked. It looks like old human footage, another whispered. The video continued. Humans helping alien refugees, repairing destroyed cities, sharing food with species the Council had called allies. No propaganda, no tricks, just truth. Real faces, real courage. And somewhere, deep in the shadows of the Council's fortress city, panic began. Inside the council command chamber, red lights flashed across every monitor. Dozens of officials shouted at once, trying to shut down the feed. Cut all external signals. Trace the source. Block every open frequency. But it was too late. The truth was already everywhere. Grand Speaker Vareth stood at the center, his silver eyes glowing with fury. "Find the traitor," he said, voice sharp as glass. "Find Kale before this spreads further." One of the technicians stammered, "Sir, it already reached the outer colonies. People are sharing it manually. Even if we shut down the satellites, they're transferring the files through personal channels. The footage is multiplying faster than we can delete it." Vareth slammed his hand against the console. "Then destroy the source. Send a fleet to the Elira belt. Wipe it out." He turned toward the main screen where Kale's face had appeared briefly during the transmission. The young officer's eyes were calm, defiant. Vareth whispered, "You think truth can save you? Truth destroys." Far away, Kale awoke inside his damaged ship. The cabin was filled with smoke and flickering red light. His left arm was burned. His ribs hurt with every breath, but he was alive. The communication relay still pulsed above, faint and steady. He coughed and looked at the terminal. Transmission complete. Through the static on his small monitor, he saw it, the galaxy reacting. Entire crowds watching the footage. Soldiers lowering their weapons. Reporters shouting into live feeds. Some wept, some screamed. Some simply stood in silence. Kale smiled weakly. "They see it now." But his smile faded when his sensors picked up movement. 3 massive council cruisers approaching the relay. He whispered, "They came fast." He pushed himself to the pilot's chair, ignoring the pain, and powered up the half-broken engines. His ship barely responded. Sparks flew. The screen blinked warnings. Engines at 24% efficiency. He gritted his teeth. "It's enough." The cruisers opened fire, beams slicing through the dark. Kale's ship spun, dodging between burning debris. He sent one last message to Tessa. "The truth is out. Even if they kill me, they can't kill it again." Across the galaxy, the reactions grew louder. On the agricultural world of Neris, farmers threw away council flags and replayed the footage on walls. On the icy planet Mira, soldiers refused new orders to patrol. On the merchant hub of Kyra, traders broadcast the human videos on every street corner, their voices echoing, "They lied to us." And then came the question no one dared to ask before: where are the humans now? The question spread like wildfire. Rumors followed. Some said humanity had died out completely. Others whispered they had gone beyond the stars, waiting for the right time to return. But one message repeated in every system, copied from the relay: Project Echo, speak the truth. It became a call, a symbol of rebellion. Meanwhile, back in the council chamber, the chaos grew unbearable. Delegates screamed at one another. Armies began refusing orders. Whole worlds disconnected from the council's command network. Tessa appeared on one of the secure communication channels, her calm face flickering before Vareth. "You tried to bury history," she said softly. "But history remembers those who stand for truth." Vareth snarled. "You will destroy everything we built." "No," she replied. "You already did that when you built it on lies." Before he could respond, the chamber lights went out. Screens across the room filled with static. Then the same image appeared again, Kale's voice calm and tired. "If you hear this, then know the truth has escaped your reach. You can silence me, but you cannot silence what was real." Vareth clenched his fists, his control slipping away. At the edge of the Elira belt, Kale's ship drifted between burning fragments of the relay. One of the enemy cruisers exploded under crossfire from malfunctioning weapons. The humans' relay had triggered an old defense system. But Kale's ship was falling apart. Inside, he sat bleeding, holding a cracked hollow device showing Tessa's message. "They are watching. The truth lives," he smiled faintly. Then it was worth it. Outside his window, the relay's final light faded. But its signal was now unstoppable, millions of copies already bouncing across deep space. The truth had found its wings. As his ship spun slowly toward the dying star, Kale whispered, "For them, for the ones they erased." And then, a soft sound echoed through his comm, an incoming signal. Faint but clear, it was human. A voice spoke through static. "This is the Terran Expeditionary Fleet. We received your transmission. Stand by, Kale. You are not alone." His eyes widened. For a moment, pain disappeared. A massive shadow appeared beyond the dying star. Metal, ancient and unmistakably human. The shape of a warship long thought destroyed. Kale smiled through tears. You came back. The transmission crackled again. We never left. The galaxy for the first time in centuries was silent. Every world stared at the footage of the human fleet returning from the black. And those who once laughed at the human ban now trembled, realizing the truth. They had not banned humanity. They had only hidden from it. The stars were no longer quiet. They echoed with whispers, rumors, and fear. Across every world, the impossible message spread like fire through dry fields. Humans had returned. At first, no one believed it. Some called it fake. Others said it was an old recording. But then telescopes, scanners, and orbital arrays began to confirm it. An unknown fleet, massive, silent, and ancient, had emerged from the black edge of the galaxy. Their ships did not match any modern design. They were larger, darker, and carried symbols most species had forgotten. Symbols that once represented the greatest empire ever known. The humans had come back. On Arvin Prime, panic and awe filled the skies. The Council's networks were failing. Riots had broken out in the lower districts. People shouted in the streets, "They're here! The humans are real! They're coming for us!" In the Grand Council Hall, Vareth stood before the trembling delegates. His once smooth voice now cracked with fear. "They will attack," he said. "We must strike first. Prepare the defense grid." "But, Counselor," one delegate whispered, "they have not sent any threat. The transmission said only, we never left." Vareth slammed his fist down. "You fool. That is the threat." But even as he shouted, the stars above the city turned red. A vast shadow passed over the atmosphere. One of the human ships had entered orbit. It was enormous, larger than any known vessel, its hull shaped like an iron cathedral built for war. Thousands of smaller ships surrounded it, glowing like embers around a dying fire. They did not fire weapons, they only waited, and then every screen across the galaxy turned on. A figure appeared, a human. His face was aged, his eyes sharp and tired. His voice carried calm authority, yet it shook the hearts of every species that heard it. "We once stood beside you. We built your cities, fought your wars, and saved your worlds when you could not save yourselves. And for that, you erased us." The galaxy listened in silence. "You called us unstable, dangerous, unfit, but it was your fear that destroyed peace, not our hands. Now the truth has returned, and we have returned with it." The camera turned slightly. Behind him stood hundreds of human officers, each wearing the emblem of the Terran fleet. Stars glowed through the windows behind them. "We do not seek vengeance," the man continued. "We seek understanding. Those who remember us with hate, we forgive. Those who remember us with honor, we thank. But those who built their thrones upon lies..." He paused, his eyes turned cold. "You will answer to truth." The feed cut out. The stars fell silent again. Kale awoke in the medical bay of a Terran ship. The soft hum of engines surrounded him. A nurse, human, stood beside him, adjusting monitors. She smiled gently. "You've been out for 2 days," she said. Kale tried to sit up, his body aching. "Where am I?" "You're aboard the TSS Vigilant Dawn. You sent the message that reached us. You did something no one has done in 5 centuries. You woke humanity." He looked at her, speechless. "You were in hiding all this time?" "Not hiding," she said quietly. "Preparing. The Council destroyed our colonies, but not our spirit. We rebuilt in the outer dark, far beyond their reach. We watched. We waited for the day someone remembered the truth." Kale lowered his gaze. "I only did what was right." The nurse smiled. "Sometimes doing what is right changes everything." In orbit around Arvin Prime, the Terran fleet formed a protective ring. Council ships approached cautiously, unsure whether to salute or flee. The humans did not fire. Instead, they transmitted files, thousands of them, back into the galactic network. Historical footage, medical cures, lost scientific data, records of alliances that the Council had erased. They did not come with destruction. They came with proof. Across the galaxy, the people turned against the Council. On every world, statues of corrupt leaders fell. The old systems crumbled. In one final desperate act, Vareth tried to broadcast a warning. His face appeared across a few surviving channels, pale and shaking. Do not trust them. They came back to rule you again. But before he could finish, the feed cut. His image vanished. In his place appeared Kyle, standing beside the human commander. His voice was calm but firm. No one will rule anyone. Not anymore. The truth belongs to everyone. The commander nodded. The Terran fleet will not rebuild the old empire. We will rebuild trust. Weeks passed. The galaxy began to heal. Human ships traveled again among the stars, not as conquerors, but as bridges between worlds. They shared medicine, rebuilt broken cities, and helped erase the lies that had divided species for generations. Kale became the first non-human ambassador to the Terran Council. His name became a symbol of courage and truth. Children across colonies learned his story, the officer who exposed the lie that silenced a species. One evening, Kyle stood on the observation deck of the Vigilant Dawn, watching stars drift past. The human commander joined him. "You know," the commander said softly, "when we first heard your signal, we almost thought it was a trick. No one in the galaxy had spoken the truth about us for centuries." Kale smiled faintly. "I did not do it for history. I did it because it was wrong to bury what was real." The commander nodded. "That's exactly what humanity once believed too." They stood together in silence as the ship sailed through the quiet dark. Across the stars, people began carving new words onto their monuments, simple, honest, and eternal. Truth does not die in silence. Humanity never left. Those who hide the past will one day face it. And somewhere deep in space, an ancient signal continued to echo, Project Echo, still repeating Kale's final message to every corner of the galaxy. You banned them to hide your shame, but the truth flies on wings of fire. The galaxy that once laughed at the human ban now whispered a new truth. Humanity never needed permission to return. They were already here, waiting for the stars to remember.